What's up, everybody? It's Matt Johnson. We're back with another episode of Real Estate Uncensored. This is the place where you get actionable ideas, insight, and inspiration to turn your real estate business into a life of freedom. And we are talking about Grandmaster secrets to a killer listing consultation. Notice I did not say presentation. We're talking about a consultation. So we're talking about how to meet with sellers and close the deal. And we're going to be sharing secrets from Greg's experience and his dad, the Grandmaster Terry's experience from 40 plus years of real estate,
47.
47? Good Lord, Greg. So I think he knows a few things. Obviously, we're going to be getting the Grandmaster himself on the podcast here over the next couple months, which I know everybody will absolutely love and fall in love with your dad. We're sharing, you're sharing some of his secrets, some of your secrets to having a great listing consultation today. So first of all, how are you?
I'm freaking awesome, dude. As we talked about in the pre-show, we were bitching at me like a mother hen to, are you really going to wear a hoodie? Are you really going to wear a hoodie? Johnson, I brought out the gold Estate 21 coat just for you, Bubba. He's shaking his head just like, oh, my God. But no, dude, I'm really doing well. I went up and it is dumping rain out here today, but I had a really, really cool thing. I picked up another coaching client the other day. With the new level that I'm doing it on, I'm just a prospecting coach, and it's on demand. You get 4 calls a month. You message me within 24 to 48 hours. We've got something booked for you, and off we run, and it seems to be working out pretty well, and so it's pretty awesome. And, dude, we made our first money in our rev share.
Sure.
Almost $900, and we got 8 agents in. They've already recruited 2 agents, those other agents. We have teams that we're bringing in. I talked to EXP about opening up 2 different countries with them, and they're very receptive to it. We're going to work with them to open up, British Columbia as well, and get another one of our teams up there rocking and rolling in BC. If you guys don't want to join EXP with us, I don't know what mental damage is wrong with you at this moment, but we're making money without doing anything. You see how that works? You make money, other people work. Sounds pretty good. It's kind of like how this relationship with Matt works. He works and I do nothing. I just show up. This is fantastic.
Oh, that were true. I would love to make that crack, but you actually do work. All right, so
I do actually work.
Yes, so we've got a bunch of questions, guys. We appreciate you watching and listening and everything that you guys do to share the show. And we're going to take some live questions. We're going to take some questions from the Lead Gen Scripts and Objections Facebook group. So we've got a bunch of cool stuff to jump into today. We do not have a guest. He had some tech issues and wasn't able to jump on with us, unfortunately. But we've got a lot of fun stuff to get into today. So let's start with an easy one, Greg. In general, this is from Shannon Dixon, says, how long do you spend at your listing appointments? I feel like I'm spending way too long, at 1.5 to 2 hours. So, Greg, on the topic of how long, what say you?
Oh, God, that is brutal. 1.5 to 2 hours? If I had to do that, that's some serious loving. Okay, all joking aside. What I would honestly do when it comes to the amount of time you'd spend at a listing appointment, you'd want to understand their personality type. So like me, a high D, bro, just give me the bullet points. Tell me you're not going to fuck it up and get out of my house so I can do what I want to do for the rest of the day. An S and a C, they're going to want to know everything about everything. And so you're going to need to spend more time with them. So make a judgment call as you've been pursuing these leads, as you've been courting them, email, phone calls. What's their personality type? And then you can actually ask them, hey guys, how much time do we have to meet together today? And then see if they say 20 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, all day. Then go prepared for whatever that's going to be, because you're speaking their language at this point. And ultimately, it's not about what you need to be doing; it's about what they need and what they're expecting. Because if you speak high D and they're a high S and C, that's going to come across. They're going to feel like you just blew through it, you didn't care about them, and that kind of a thing. But, Matt, what would you, obviously we think a little bit differently at times, because I see you sitting over there, just kind of quietly
Nobody
waiting.
loves sitting in extremely long conversations with a high SE personality more than me. So I am a champ. I am a pro, Greg, at enjoying myself in long, drawn-out, unnecessary conversations. So I can give some very valuable advice, which is to have a business partner who can be on the phone instead of you and in addition to you, so that I can somersault my way through the nearest plate glass window and out of that call.
Oh man, what was it? I went on a list. I've gone on really long listing presentations where I didn't want the client anymore because all they wanted to do was talk. I'm like, please shut them up. I just want to go home and snuggle with my binky because you've hurt me. But then I've been on other listing presentations where, no joke, like let's say these are keys. Oops, as I drop them. The seller just walked up to me and goes, "Here you go." And I'm like, what? He's like, well, do you need anything else from me? Do I need to sign a document or something? I'm like, I love you. That was the greatest listing presentation and appointment of my life.
Well, which brings us to a bigger point, which is questions. So Brandon Moreno is watching. What's up, Brandon?
What up, B?
He is killing it in the Midwest with FSBOs, among many other things. He's killing it in general and in life. But he says, I believe we need to ask the seller more questions and to be able to know for sure how long you'll need to be there, which is a great point. But the bottom line is it starts with, basing your listing appointment, whatever you want to call it, whether it's a presentation or consultation, but it should be hung around questions and not statements. Right, Greg?
Yeah, it's all about questions. He or she who asks the questions controls the conversation. So you'd want to make sure that you're consistently, asking the good, in-depth questions. What do they need? What do they want? What's most important to them? Another thing when you're in a listing presentation, this can dictate how long you need to be there, is you go in and you actually say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, Matt, Julie, your 3 obese little wood-denting, insulin-sucking little baby trolls, how long, what's most important to you? Do we want to talk about, health clinics for your children? To your new home that you're going to buy? Do we want to talk about reinforced steel flooring? What's most important that we should talk about? But anyway, all joking aside, I just want to see Matt laugh because he's a grumpy cuss today. The thing is that when you get in and they say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I have a presentation prepared for you. What are some of the most important points you want to make sure that we cover up front? Because as soon as you can cover those points, it's going to be a lot easier. And you may not have to go into some of the things that you were going to go into, which gets you out of the house faster. Or you will cover things that you didn't know you were going to cover, and you can go deep on these different subject matters that are most important to that seller. And so you might take a little bit longer, but you'll satisfy the client's lack of knowledge. Therefore, you can get the listing. I mean, you just have to ask the questions consistently. Like we've always said, Matt, be consistently curious of this business and of what your clients' wants and needs are, and their timelines and the whole thing. So that's really where we would do it. And it's something that Terry does, and I only think that Terry can pull this off because it is the Terry dance. So this is what he'll do, guys. All you guys that are watching this, awesome. If you guys are listening to this, we'll come watch this on my Facebook. So what he does, he'll take a piece of paper, a blank piece of paper such as this. He'll casually flip it over. Then he does this. He draws like this. He draws an L, if you guys can see this, and then a line right up the middle. Now, this is all he does. That's all the stuff he writes. And then he just casually doodles and put markers and does things that you don't know what he's doing. And by the end of it, it looks something like this. And somehow he has wowed these people into a trance. And this is what he does in the listing presentation. It is the craziest thing, but what he's doing is he's sitting back. He has his legs crossed. He's relaxed as all get out. He's sitting there like it is his sister's house, my mom's grandparents' house. Just at a family get-together, just chatting it up, having a good time. And that's the secret of a listing presentation. It's being relaxed. All of us go in there, our sphincters are so tight. People can tell from a mile away that we're high-strung and stressed out. But in reality, do you want to work with someone who's like, okay, so I got a presentation. We're going to cover this. All right, let's go to module. Fuck. Let's just go to page 2. We'll start on page 2. Nobody wants that shit. That just stresses me out just doing it. I'm just messing around.
Definitely stressed me out listening to it. God.
But if you go in there and you just relax and you're like, hey, Matt, Julie, I really appreciate you having me over. Thank you so much. How much time do we have to talk tonight? What's your timeline? I want to make sure I'm adhering to what's most comfortable for you. 45 minutes? Perfect. That's exactly the amount of time we're going to need. I got a whole thing set up here that we can talk about. But I want to cover your most important topics first. So let's do this. Why don't we walk around, kind of tell me about the house, and then we'll come back down and sit down in the kitchen or in the family room, whatever's most comfortable for you. We can have a chance to get to know each other and see if we're going to be a right fit for each other. How's that?
Yeah,
and that last part,
part
of like, if we're going to be the right fit for each other is one of your biggest scripts, because they'll never see it. Exactly. Matt just did the pull away method right there. Because how many times have you ever gone into a listing presentation and said, you know what? I'm not sure about you, Mr. Seller. I'm not sure you're the right client for me. Mm-hmm. They're the hot chick at the bar. Everybody's hitting on them. Mm-hmm. And if you're like the cool guy that walks in and goes, well, you might do. We'll see if it's going to work. And then you walk away.
The hot chick at the bar analogies, Greg, they have to stop. They're just so bad.
Way, dude. They're not bad. They're good. They're very, very good. They're thoughtful. So they're insightful.
Thoughtful and insightful. All about that. All right, so give me, I want to know, Greg, from you, and based on what you do and what you observed your dad do, what do the first 2 minutes of your listing appointment look like?
First 30 seconds are pretty critical. What we do with our first 30 seconds is, as soon as I get to the house, they open that front door. I do not step into that house. I say, hey, thank you so much for having me. May I come in? You ask permission to come into their home. You take 1 or 2 steps in. You instantly say, would you like me to take my shoes off? And you go, like you're in action, like you have your toe on your heel, like taking your shoe off right there, waiting for that thumbs up or thumbs down. And because what it is that, like, they might not say it, but sometimes they really, like in my house, dude, I don't wear my shoes in my house. And when people come over and wear their shoes in my house, I'm kind of like, fuckhead, take your shoes off. But I don't want to say it. I don't want to be rude. But it was something nice.
I'm just thinking of when I was at your place. I did not have a care in the world, and I don't care what you think.
No, you didn't. You just strolled in.
Off in your place.
That's why you don't come over to my house.
That's right.
I banished you, and you didn't even know it. But yeah, so you thank them for letting you in. You ask to come in the home. You ask them if you should remove your shoes. 90% of the time, they're going to say, no, keep them on. Don't worry about it. I did have this one lady. Her floors were disgusting. And she's like, that would be really nice of you. And I'm like, damn it. Why did I ask?
All right. So you ask to be welcomed into the home. You offer to take off, and you make the physical gesture so they know you're serious. It's not just a talking gesture, which I like that. All right, keep going. Correct.
Then at that point, what I do is I take an MLS sheet, which I don't have one readily available. Oh, wait, I might have one here. It doesn't really matter. Yeah. Does this one have writing on it? Yeah, it does. So this has an MLS sheet, and it's just a standard write-up from the county. And I take this with me, and I take notes on it. Kind of like what the house has to offer. If you kind of read the situation, if you can get away with it, you'd want to take pictures of the home. Ask permission. Always ask permission on that one. Hey, Matt, Julie, is it okay if I take a couple of quick snaps as we go through the house just so I can remember all the awesome upgrades you guys did so that when I run my numbers, I can make sure I'm spot on? Because you can use those photos later on with a system called Animoto when you leave the property to show your high tech. But I always verify all this stuff because in our county, the county is really good at forgetting numbers. So I'll always make sure, you're a 3-bed, 2-bath? No, we're a 3-bed, 2.5 bath. Oh, okay. So, yeah, let me put the half bath down there. Okay. And you guys have 27 square feet? No, it's more like we added on, but we didn't do it in a recording, so we're at 2,500 square feet. Oh, okay, you're at 2,500 square feet. Oh, okay. You just verify these small numbers, and you want to make, because you run your comps, you're going to need to have the accurate information and not just run off what the county says. And then, obviously, don't run off what they say. You kind of got to blend it if there's a little discrepancy. Mm-hmm. Walk through the home, take the photos, and then you sit down and you start going through your presentation, identifying what they want. And then as you leave, you get their, obviously, you can get their email. You can bring up Animoto. You're going to put together a little slideshow super quick with some of the photos that you put in there in the front of the house. You send it to them like, hey, this is just a sampler of some of the tech stuff we're going to be using to market your home. When you leave, you take a picture of yourself as a selfie in front of the home, like click in front of the home. Okay. Then you get it on the send-out cards. You send that picture of you in front of their house with a thumbs up, or maybe with a sold sign or something like that, right? Send a thank you card for letting you come to their house. and then run your numbers and come back. But I mean, that's just some of the kind of the gravy on top that kind of makes you stand out from the rest of the crowd when it comes to listing presentations.
I like it. Yeah, there was one thing that Michael Mayer said years ago when he was doing listing appointments. He would have thank you notes already in his car, and he would leave a listing appointment, scrawl the thank you note on the card literally as he's leaving, and drop it in a mailbox as he's like on his way back home or back to the office, so that he didn't forget. And of course, now you can do that with send out cards like right from the app on your phone, and you can take a picture and yada yada. But yeah, I mean, just that, like not allowing yourself to lose that opportunity and miss that through forgetfulness.
Yeah.
So incredibly important. Like discipline yourself to make that extra gesture, whether it's bringing something to them, sending them a send out card afterwards, sending them, brownies or whatever, like through the system, just making that a point to do it literally before you even get back to your office or back home and get back into the swing of things. Because we're all human. We are going to forget. And those little gestures make such a big difference. I remember talking to Derek Evans, who we've had on the show, and he was talking about some of the secrets of the listing masters in San Diego, where they've been able to actually pit, 3 agents against one another live fire with a real seller for months, and have gone through a bunch of different agents. And what they found is that some people that build that trust and that connection and that rapport instantly, right off the bat, most of the time, something like 90% of the time, were the people that got the listing. And it was the people that brought some sort of simple, thoughtful gift. Nothing expensive, nothing extravagant, just something that showed thoughtfulness.
Right. And generally, I mean, I do a two-step listing appointment. So, I mean, to really kind of step that up even another notch, Matt Steinway, right? In Australia?
Yeah.
So Matt did something. This guy made $5 million last year selling real estate. Pay attention to what I'm going to tell you next. This is what he does after his listing appointment. Within 30 minutes of him leaving that listing appointment, he has a box of candy delivered. You can go get TaskRabbit and have TaskRabbit go do that for you. Within 24 hours, there's a follow-up phone call that he does. And then there's a commitment letter he sends out, kind of committing to them what he's going to do for them. And then he sends out a company difference letter. Why is my company better than every other company out there? Kind of standing above the rest of the competition. But if you can do that within, let's say you come back within, 4 or 5 days before the numbers or whatever the time's going to need to be to get the send out cards and everything else done. One of the things that if you saw something, like if you saw this send out card, right, of a boat, cockpit here on my desk, you could start up a conversation with it and ask what kind of boat it is, so on and so forth. What if you went out and got me, like, hey, Greg, I saw that you like this. I thought of you. I found this book on Malibus, and I just thought you might like it. And you bring that small little token gesture to me, I would almost, no joke, almost 100% of the time I would list with that person. And I'm not even in the position for that, but it's that thoughtfulness that goes so far. Like you were saying, like 90, 95%, some ridiculously large amount all goes to the people who are just that much better with being thoughtful. Like I bring C's candy to listing appointments. Little like $7 or $8 box of candy or something like that, not a huge thing. But I hand it to them and I'm like, here's something to sweeten up your day. Yes, cheesy. But when they see the C's emblem on it, and they're like, they literally go like, it's for me? I'm like, yeah, it's for you. I didn't bring it for myself. I brought myself a snack as we go through the house.
I mean, I have popcorn. I brought popcorn for me, but the candy's for you. All right, so we got a bunch of people watching. Patrick, Rob St. John, Veronica Jones, Erica, who just got her license. Congrats to Erica. Jared, Paul Franklin, what's going on? Says you look like a fancy man in the blazer. So let's get into some questions. So Patrick says, did you have help creating your first listing presentations? That's a great question, Greg. I mean, how much did your dad, like, it seems like what the Grandmaster does is very questions and consultation based. So did he teach you to do that right out of the gate, or did you have some other structure that was more like a training wheels first?
There was no real training wheels. Well, my whole life has been training wheels. Let's put it that way. I know, come on.
I mean, and still there. Still.
I was waiting for that.
Of course, I couldn't.
I'm like,
let that go.
Damn it, I left that open.
You left the door wide open.
God. So what I did is I went with Chris, my business partner. I went with Terry, my dad, to the Grandmaster, did different listing presentations, and I saw each one of them did it. he's much more methodical, and he would have his brag book, he would have his stats, he would have testimonials, he would have all this stuff. And so what I did is I took a little bit of that, I took a little bit of Terry's laid backness, and I would go in and I would do what we talked about. I'd bring the C's candy, I'd ask permission to come in, but I'd also bring my book that I've shown you guys several times on the show that has all my stats, that has the testimonials, that has all these different things in there, so I can point to them, I can show people who the team members are, but I'm also very inquisitive about what they're doing. So yes, I absolutely did have help, and I still am always getting better. Like when we talked about bringing that little gift to, that was unique to that homeowner, that's something that we had never done before. I incorporated that. It's like magic. It's like a hot knife through butter, man. It's just like, ugh. There's my listing agreement. Because people are touched by it. So yeah, I mean, when you're learning how to do a listing presentation, take the listing presentations you like, take out the shit you don't like, put in the stuff you do like, and make it yours. There's never any perfect listing presentation, because if you gave me, a listing presentation that Matt would deliver, I wouldn't be able to do it because I'm not comfortable with it. But if I developed my own, then I could easily, make it rain. And I'm more of the question and answer, build the rapport, let's move forward, do the assumptive closes, us, we, team, as we do this deal together. I use all this verbiage right from the very beginning. I'm pointing to Eileen. Eileen will be your main point on paperwork. I'll be your main point on negotiations. I'll be here for your first open house. I'll host your brokerage tours. We're going to have it catered. We're going to have professional photos. I'm going to be on site for this. I just insert myself into the assumption that it's already mine.
Right.
And they're kind of rude if they tell you it's not yours, so they just don't say anything.
Yes,
That's
but it's also
part.
very authentic, which I like.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of like a preset, you mentioned like Chris has a methodical presentation, and Jeff Cohn, who I was doing a podcast with this morning, they have like a preset presentation for their team that they can literally plug into and just put onto their iPad. And so when they go through their training, like their training for their agents on live stream is like, hey, here is the presentation. Here's how you take someone through on an iPad and show them, but they're showing a lot of the same things that you show in the book, right? Here's the marketing plan. Here's how we've sold homes all over the city, right, with all the pins and stuff like that. So very similar. Here's the differences. Here's what we do. Here's how the process works and all that stuff. So if you guys want to check that out, you can go to erslivestream.com and you can get hooked into their training, which is ridiculously cheap, like $17 a month to get in that. And that's what they go through for their listing presentation training, right? Mm-hmm. And so, and that works, right? They're the number one team in the state, and they all run off of that one same iPad kind of presentation. But even if you're doing that, a lot of times, if you can still hang your presentation around the questions, and then those things just become like, yeah, let's get this out of the way because we've already talked about a lot of this, or let's remove these objections by going through this presentation, and then you still end up having to address those. You still end up having to ask the questions, right? Because they want to feel like they're heard. So that's one of the reasons why I'm a big fan of changing the phrasing from listing presentation to consultation, right? Because then it just internally, like it changes it to where you're thinking of it more like a conversation. You're not there to pitch your company. It's not pitch, right? Mm-hmm. There may be a small portion of it that's a pitch, but the overall paradigm that you're in is a conversation. Yeah,
and something that I was thinking about with what I might want to change on my listing presentation and do something a little bit more tech-based with an iPad or whatever else, is the fact that you can have the book can be digital. I can have a hard copy and leave it with them as well. But I think something would be that I was missing, and I just thought about this. I'm like, how did I miss that one? Is with Viral, they have audio testimonials. So if you can play audio testimonials, like, hey, you know what? Let me do this. I got a couple of people that we worked in the past. Hold on. Let me just play this for you real quick. And then all of a sudden you sound like an absolute rock star because you play 3 or 4 testimonials for them. Or if you can get them on video and they can watch these people talk like, dude, so and such agent was just amazing. They did this. They jumped through hoops. I had one of my clients refer to me as a Navy SEAL that was rappelling invertedly on a rope to get the deal done. And I'm like, I'm still playing that every time I go to a listing presentation.
That's a great one. Yeah, that's awesome.
But he's funny, so he's like, man, I really like Greg, but not in a weird way. You know what I mean? I'm like, God, David, you kill me, dude.
That's awesome.
But you see, when you can get passion behind that, and you can see the other people, the other people are already like you, because people want things that other people want, right?
Yeah.
Just like, going back to my analogies, just like the hot chick. You know what, Matt? If you can't, everyone else wants it, so you got to want it, right? But I mean, I just did that just for you, by the way.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But I mean, it is true. You get that social verification. Why do you think all those review sites are so powerful when it comes to talking about, this product or that product? And I was on Amazon the other day. I was looking at this thing, which is a little handy-dandy little tripod thingy bobber that I can mount up on shit and twist it and turn it and hang it from things and everything else. And I read the reviews on this thing consistently before I bought it, even though it was referred to me by the guy who's redoing my Instagram account. But as soon as I read that it had 4.5 stars, dude, I bought this thing in a nanosecond. It only cost me $20.
Yeah, nice.
So yeah, I mean, those are huge things, and I really like that idea that we just did with the whole live video idea. And who was it, Matt, that delivered? He was on our show, and he had that great idea. He would do pre-recorded videos, and he would send them like a digital book, like a hard case book. But you open it up as like an old 12-inch screen inside, and they could watch different videos, like 3 or 4 different videos. Then he would go and collect that at the listing presentation, but the wow factor was already firmly in place by the time he showed up.
Great question. I don't remember it. I think it may have been Eric Brown.
Eric Brown or LaFido? I mean,
either. Yeah. I mean, I don't.
But yeah,
I
it was a great idea.
But yeah, that's a really interesting idea, is to have your pre-listing packet delivered on a tablet that shows up the day before, and then you just collect it at the listing presentation. That's really powerful.
Yeah, maybe have an assistant or someone in your team, or again, I don't know if you'd want to send that with a TaskRabbit, but someone that you trust. TaskRabbit's like, no, man, never got it, never saw it, wasn't able to pick it up. Don't know.
Don't send your cousin if he's a little twitchy.
What do you mean, man? The meth is wearing off.
Exactly. All right. So there's a great question here. There's a gentleman in Lead Gen Scripts Objections that says, I'm looking to step up my listing presentation. Who lists higher-end homes at a high level? Can you share your listing presentation with me? Which is an interesting thing because, I mean, other than some of the tactical things like that, where maybe you have a little bit more money to spend, and so you send a shock and awe package in advance, I haven't really heard, when you talk to the people that are listing, quote, multi-million-dollar or high-end homes, I mean, even like we've spoken with Josh Altman a couple of times, and he's talked about like his listing presentation and the meetings that they have. I don't get the impression that their consultations themselves, the actual appointments that they have with people to talk about listing their homes, I don't feel like they're any different than the listing appointments of a $300,000 condo. Do you?
No, I mean, if we're talking about a $20 million home, yeah, that's going to be a little bit different. One of the things that Josh did talk about that I thought was absolutely hilarious. Actually, his brother Matt was talking about this, that they have bought 3 drones and they've crashed 2 of them. And for a real shock and awe, for about $1,200 to $1,500, guys, go out there and buy a nice drone. He said that the inner kid came out in every single person that they were able to show this to, because they would say, okay, they'd go through their song and dance, and then they would say, hey, let's go take a look at what your home will look like from the air. Go out to the car, pull the drone out. All of a sudden, the sellers they turn into little kids, oohing and ahhing, and how cool that is. It's that special wow power that again could be a very awesome thing that you could use. Now, would you do it for a condo? Sure, why not? Why not show the top of the condos? I mean, it's just the wow factor of the drone flying. That's all it is.
Yeah, and I was in the middle of answering Rob's question, but I'll just do it verbally instead of putting it in the comments here. So Rob had a great question on, if you're sending out a pre-listing package, like, do you put the whole marketing plan in there? Like, how much detail do you put? So one of the purposes of the pre-listing package, to me, is the shock and awe factors, the thud factor of that packet slamming down on their coffee table or their kitchen table, which just gives them the impression that, hey, this is someone who is, number one, more prepared, number two, more experienced, number three, has an actual plan, which most agents don't. And so the thing is that I've heard this objection. In fact, Stefan actually said this, one of our guys, that we're good friends with here in California said, well, I don't want to put a packet together that nobody's going to read. Well, that fundamentally misunderstands the purpose of a pre-listing packet. The purpose of the packet is not for them to read it. It's the impression that the packet makes by the fact that it's delivered and the way that it's presented. So I would put all of the detail in the pre-listing packet because it's the impression that you know what you're doing that's created that's more important than them reading the content. And then when you get to the actual consultation, you will find, like Matt and Josh Altman found, that there's usually one specific part of that marketing plan that you'll get the sense that they'll be blown away by the cool factor. And for the Altmans, it's the drone. For Adam Olson, the younger guy down in Texas who's now dominating his suburb at 24, 25 years of age or something ridiculous. For him, it's very detailed demographic-based Facebook ad targeting for their home. That's the cool factor that he brings out in his listing consultation. So maybe something different for you, and there actually may be 3 or 4 or 5 things in your marketing plan that you could pull out 1 or 2 things in that consultation. But to me, that's the value, is put everything into the packet, and then when you're actually on the consultation, pull out the big guns, the 1 or 2 things out of that marketing plan that you feel like has the biggest bang for your buck, the cool factor, and then point that out and use that to just blow them away and kind of help seal the deal.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. And you brought up a good point about the doing the legwork ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I love Stefan, but I'm going to throw him under the bus. Because the fact of the matter is, like, if you're a high D, high I, like you and I are, we don't want to sit and talk to the S's and C's. We'll pull our hair out. But if you can give them all the details in that pre-listing package, let them just scour through that until they're, 4 a.m. in the morning and they're fully content on what you're doing, then they'll have different questions for you. You can come in, you guys can both coexist without one of you ripping each other's head off, but everyone feels satisfied. The other thing is that when you, and I've done this, Matt, I've actually done this, and it is absolutely incredible with those Facebook numbers. I'll go and I'll put the demographics of what I think the buyer would look like, where they're, what they look like, their ages, kid count, occupations, and then I do a radius of 50 miles, right? And then I say, okay, so within a 50-mile radius is typically where we see a lot of our buyers come from here locally in the area. With your 32 and 36, you have 2.5 kids, a half a dog, and 3/4 of a cat, and 1/8 of a fish. This is probably these are the buyers, and they're in tech. It's actually hailing outside. Whoa. You say from my numbers, there's 8,211.
Somebody's Tesla is getting dented right now.
Call Elon.
It's hailing in Silicon Valley.
So, but you say, look, there's 8,211 people that are highly likely to be the buyer of your home. I have an ad built, ready to go as soon as we sign the listing agreement that I can start marketing this home before we even hit the market. So maybe we can even do a deal and get you a high price, because it's not a bargain to get it before the market goes on the market. They have to pay for that opportunity. But you won't have to do open houses and have people tromp through their house with muddy boots.
Yeah.
And so you see how I sold that on 2 different sides. They'll have to pay for the opportunity, so it'll be over list price, and you want to go through. Someone want to come through your home with muddy boots and tromping around, and you want to keep it clean. The kids, beds want to be made. The showers won't have to be squeaky clean. You can just live your life, and we'll get you moving to the next step. What would you like to do?
Yeah, and that Rob's got another good question here that I want to bring up. So what you just demonstrated, Greg, is like the correct way. To me, like a better way to demonstrate that you're tech savvy.
Did you just compliment me?
I did.
Is that what I heard?
I know, it's completely by accident. I'll never do it again.
Yeah.
As Dr. Cox would say from Scrubs, Greg, you have to store up my compliments for the cold, sarcastic months. So Rob says, how do you feel about electronic delivery of that package, referring to the pre-listing package? I know you eliminate the thud factor, but you demonstrate a tech end of what you do. I totally disagree. I don't think sending over anything electronically is a demonstration that you're tech savvy. It's a demonstration that you're lazy. Yeah, sadly.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? There's other better ways to demonstrate that you're tech savvy through things like Facebook marketing and drones. I would never trade. Look, it's like, man, how many girlfriends have you had, Greg, where they would rather you unload the dishwasher than you pay someone to unload the dishwasher? Why? Because they want to know that your personal effort is involved in something because it shows that you care. That's what people, that is the difference between emailing a pre-listing packet and having it delivered or
Oh
dropping
my
it off.
God, that's an analogy. I thought you were just going to say to make me miserable, but I guess it was just to show my personal touch. I mean, whatever it is, but go for it.
That's right.
I mean, girlfriends you have that.
Show that you care, guys. You could send a gift card. You could email a gift certificate to a restaurant, or you could drop off a gift certificate to a restaurant. It's literally the same amount of money, but which is going to make the most impact?
Dropping it off with a nice little bow that has the nice little card. Hey guys, hope you enjoy this steakhouse, and I have a bottle of wine waiting for you. What are you laughing about?
Veronica says, "I just want the damn dishes done." If that's true, Veronica, you're the perfect woman. Then there you go. So
Matt
that's
Matt is moving to Texas right now, Veronica. Open up that spare bedroom. He's coming in hot with his hound dog.
And Paul Franklin says Dr. Cox is a role model. I 100% agree. All right, so let's take a couple more questions, and then we'll put a nice little bow on this one. So what do you bring? Like, what do you supply during your listing presentation? And especially, let's handle this from the perspective of, let's say you've already dropped off a pre-listing package, so they kind of have your marketing plan, they have your testimonials, and they have stuff like that. So what else would you bring, Greg?
Love and charm, caring, kindness, laughter and love.
The Batman utility belt of real estate.
You're on fire today. I got to get you ticked off more often. just zing one little one-liners in there all day. So what else would you supply?
Yeah.
Knowledge, man. Seriously, just break them down with knowledge. Ask a ton of questions, like we've already talked about. I mean, I'm not going to buy them an iPad. I mean,
well, let's get more specific.
Around.
I think there's there's two camps out there. I would tend to lean towards the camp of bringing your iPad and literally live fire bringing up the market and showing them the other homes in their neighborhood and or price range, because then they really get this. This is what Aaron Wittenstein does, by the way, guys. So when you do that, you eliminate any possibility of them bringing up some other home that you didn't bring the comps for and can't pull it up fast enough. That's number one. Number two, it eliminates the idea that you just selectively pull the comps that you want to show them, right? And so there's, if you have maybe someone that tends towards the more cynical, if they're savvy enough, they may just go, well, yeah, these are the three or four homes that you're showing us. What about that home I seen the other day that was listed for $20,000 more than you're telling us to list for, that's up 2 blocks away? And you're going, man, why didn't I find that? Well, you didn't find it because it has 2 more bedrooms and a full basement underneath and has 2,000 more square feet, because it's not a true comp. So that's why you didn't find that home. If you take your iPad with you, like Aaron Wittenstein does, you literally pull up the comps within like $50,000, plus or minus, and you show them what's sold, and you'd ask them, hey, what do you, based on what we're both seeing on the market right now, what do you think, we should charge for, what should we list your home at, right?
Yeah.
Very powerful.
No, that's 100% helpful. And what I've done that, I've taken, this is back when the first iPad came out. Terry basically shoved it in my face and goes, go take this door knocking. I'm like, I don't want to take this heavy ass thing door knocking. But I'll tell you one thing, it is probably one of the most powerful things, because it was a lot of the wow factor back then, but it's just being competent now. Because, I mean, I don't know, my iPad's probably 4 or 5 years old. I probably need to get a new one. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, just bringing that in, and if you're in an area that doesn't get really good Wi-Fi, you can do screenshots if you don't have it. But, guys, the majority of the time, you can even pull it up right on your phone. I mean, our phones are fast enough and strong enough that you don't need to bring an iPad, but an iPad's bigger and you can pass it to them. If you want to go get a couple of iPad minis, we've talked about this as well. Go get some refurbished ones. Have some hardwire, software put on it that's just for you, like a portal into the MLS they can search, or a third-party app or something along those lines. And then what you'd want to do is give it to them and say, hey, look, this is your iPad for the home buying and selling, process. So if you guys want to be selling, or if you need any communication, here's something that you guys can communicate with me, and you can look for your homes with me. So, I mean, that's something that I think that is another wow factor. If you're willing to give that type of information, or give that type of product back, it'll cost you a couple $100. It's not going to be a huge amount to get that iPad out there, and especially refurbished ones. I mean, have you seen any of your guys do that, Matt?
Are we talking about giving out refurbished iPads, using an iPad in a presentation?
Yeah.
Other than, yeah, I mean, like I said, all of Jeff's guys, Jeff Cohn's team uses iPads. Like their listing presentation is made for an iPad. So he's got 50 agents on his team using that, like so everybody's on the same page and has a customized like team presentation. And
Right.
then, yeah, Aaron has his like Aaron has a pre-listing packet. Then he has a few things on his iPad, but mostly what he uses the iPad for is the pricing part of the consultation, right? So he's
Right.
actually pulling up the MLS live.
It's a great move. Great move. I
Yeah,
completely agree with it.
yeah.
Let's go. Want to go with one more question?
Yep. We have one that caught my eye from the audience here. This was from Melissa. It says, Greg, you said you do a two-step listing presentation. If you know that you're competing with other agents, do you approach the listing presentation differently? It's a great question.
I assume that I'm going into the listing presentation always competing against other real estate agents. I've never gone in thinking, well, this is my. Well, I went into one listing presentation that I knew that I wasn't going against anybody, but that was one of my like childhood friends' parents. So I mean, I knew that I wasn't going against anyone, even though they like to bust my balls and be like, well, Greg, we'll get back to you after we talk to our other four or five agents. I'm like, I just kind of like that stunned silence, like, what? And they're like, nah, we're messing with you. I'm like, do not mess with me. That my little heart here just about froze up.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I always go into it competitive. I ask people, so help me understand who else are you guys interviewing in the listing presentation, in the listing process. What's most important to you in a real estate agent? How do you what's most important when it comes to communication? Do you like phone, text, email, or a third party app? And who should I be speaking with? I try to get involved as much as I possibly can. With them ASAP. And so that's what I do.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's, yeah, it's important. I mean, even if you don't know, even if they don't straight up tell you, you're the second or third of the three agents that we're considering. I mean, just know that everybody knows somebody. They all know an agent. They all have a family member, or Greg, as you would say, their next door neighbor's best friend's dog walker's aunt or something is a
From
real
college,
estate agent.
yes.
From college, yes. Door knocking,
Yes.
dog walker from college.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, we're always competing, whether we know it or not. The odds of us going into a listing presentation and we're always the first and or only agent they're going to see or hear from, probably not a smart thing. But you don't do your listing presentation any differently based on that. You always assume that you're going in against competition. So yeah, and that's part of why. Like if you're going to do a two-step against competition, that's where the gifts, the building of the rapport, the follow-up call, the email, the thank you card, like all that stuff that we're talking about that Matt Steinway does, that's where all that stuff comes into play. Because he's not like, he gave a great example. I mean, he was competing hard for listings, sometimes going up against like literally the other dominant agent in the neighborhoods that he was targeting. There was somebody else that was also a big agent, and they'd be going head to head in listing appointments. People would bring them both in, and even he's doing that kind of a two-step. What some would call a soft sell. Like he's not going in for the kill, and if you don't get it on the first try, I'm not going to list with you then. Yeah, I'm not going to take your listing if you don't list with me right away. He's doing a two-step against super heavy competition, and that worked.
Right, and the thing that we'll close on this is talk. Remember the lemon story, and so this is the house he was really going after, and it'll kind of highlight what the small things really matter. So what happened with the lemon story is that he was up against this house. He had knocked on it eons ago, met a very nice older couple. Unfortunately, one of them passed, and then several years later, the other one passed. And then, like one of their relatives or kids was running the estate. And Matt was following up with this guy. He was very standoffish, very stale. But what was the cool part about that is that it was Matt versus the other agent, right? And he had put together like a dump truck load of comps and stats and testimonials. I mean, this is like the creme de la creme because this house was on like the best street in his area. I mean, it was a no-brainer, and he really wanted to sell it. And what it all came down to is that he followed up with the the now seller, and what it was is that he wanted to come over to meet with him again in person to run the numbers. And the guy was pushing back. Matt's like, dude, fuck this. I'm going to do it one more time. Calls him up. Now, here's the cool thing. The guy says, well, I'm not really in a good mood today. And Matt's like, oh, shit, okay, what's up? I went to the fish and chips place, and, they didn't give me any lemon, so I'm just not very in a good mood right now. And Matt says, well, let me come over. Let me meet with you. Let me help you. The guy finally agrees, begrudgingly. Matt gets on the phone, calls his assistant, who moves about as slow as frozen molasses on a cold day, and goes, so-and-so, run to the marketplace, pick up 2 lemons, bring them to this address, do it immediately. And Matt was showing up to the house, and he was like, oh, God, please, for the love of baby Jesus, please have, so-and-so get there. Dude, the guy came out of the house so excited that he had lemon for his deep-fried fish and fries. He turned into a different person. They signed the listing agreement. He sold the house. So it comes down to the small things that people want that make you stand out. He got a freaking lemon, 79 cents. Got him a listing. And lots of work and effort and blood, sweat, and tears and years of waiting. But the lemon was the thing that pushed it over the edge. How cool is that? You know?
Crazy, right? It's amazing just sometimes what it comes down to, like a personal touch.
Yeah, just a small personal touch. It's awesome.
Right. All right. Melissa says, thank you. Great information. We appreciate the question. We appreciate you guys watching, and everybody that has watched live with us and put questions and interacted and commented and all that good stuff today. We just want to thank you guys. Do us a couple of favors. Number one, if you want more super high quality live training, twice a week, Jeff opens up his entire office to agents like you that can watch live. So you can check that out at erslivestream.com. It's ridiculously cheap. It's $17 a month. 2 hours of content a week, 8 hours total per month. They also have their new agent onboarding training that they're adding into that, so it actually might be more like 12 hours a month, something ridiculous like that. So they're always adding more content, more value into the live stream program. However, if you would like to get that for free, along with many other free things, including 100% of all of our courses, training programs that we have ever created in the past or ever will create in the future, so you can plug into our systems, and a bunch of other goodies, they can talk to you, Greg, about joining our nationwide team and plugging into McDaniel Real Estate Systems.
They can. They're also going to get the podcast product you're building, Matt. They're also going to help me I'm going to help them put at least 50 people on their team. We're going to do lunch and learns for you guys to help help you recruit for your EXP team. Guys, Matt and I aren't just building a team and downline and then we're going to say, see you later, thanks for your money. No, we're fully vested. We're balls deep on this with you. We want to see you guys absolutely thrive, not just exist in this industry and in this business, because the time is now, and the package we're putting together. Oh, Matt, I haven't told you about this yet. I am negotiations within the company. My buddy Norman has a company called Support RE. I was actually one of his original advisors on that company when he started years ago, but we're negotiating a package with him. I'm not sure what it's going to look like, but all of our team members that come in, he's going to come in and rebrand you if you want it, and then do website, social media, do all kinds of things for you, all branded in the same line, and then help start posting into your social media accounts with unique content for you. And so we're gonna figure out what that's gonna look like, but that's gonna be something we're gonna put on our team as well, so you guys don't have to deal with that. All you have to do is get out the door and sell some freaking houses. I don't know. I mean, we keep bringing awesome shit on. It's gonna be awesome. And
that's right. As the tribe grows and as people come onto the team that are experts in their specific areas, we're going to help them package up that information, their tactics, their systems, their strategies, and put it into. So that's why we call it McDaniel Real Estate Systems. We're not just going to share the things that we've shared on the podcast and rehash them and share the same old stuff. We're actually going to take the people that are specializing and are really good at one specific thing, and we're going to help them package up that knowledge into a system that you can install into your business, and those all come free when you partner with us in our McDaniel Real Estate System. So that's kind of the big idea, is to build a tribe of people that let's have fun. Let's make real estate fun, not just for you, but for the client, and let's have fun building long-term wealth together.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we get more people, we get more goodies. As we get more goodies, the richer the package is, the more you're going to be able to recruit. So go to bookmcdaniel.com. I will soon have a link where you guys can go, and you can go learn from Brad Anderson, the head trainer up there, about what EXP is, and go take a tour of the campus, and we can start doing that stuff. I'm going to start doing that with him. But yeah, just go to bookmcdaniel.com. Again, bookmcdaniel.com. Get 30 minutes with me until I get my link done, and we'll have a chance to chitty chat and carry on like playful young humans. I don't know where that came from.
I don't know either. It sounds like a bad 80s song.
Yeah, it probably was at one point.
Yeah. All right,
Okay,
guys, make
Matt.
sure to subscribe to the show, YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, all the places you can get the show. Thank you, and we love you guys for sharing the show. Guys, if you notice, we don't run a bunch of ads. You don't see retargeting ads on Facebook following around all over the place trying to get you to watch the show. So the show grows because you guys share the show. You share it with your fellow agents. You share it with your brokers. You share it with your friends who aren't even in real estate, which we find hilarious. So we have people from other industries listening to us ramble on about sales and marketing because they feel like it's helpful. So all that has happened because you guys in the audience share it with the people that are in your world. And when you do that, especially if you're on our team, it's very easy to bring people onto your team just by sharing the show and growing the show and exposing people to the content that we put out every day to help them grow their business. So just want to thank you and say that we love you guys for that.
We absolutely do. Stand on our shoulders, guys. When you guys join our team, use our names, use our show name, do the recruitment. But, Matt is truly correct. We do love you guys. You guys are absolutely insanely awesome human beings. We're honored to have you guys as listeners, followers, fans, and friends. And just, we're going to get in deeper relationships with all of you guys. But, Matt, we were at bingo, my friend. What do we do to shows?
We put a nice bow on them, Greg.
I just like making you say put a bow on it. All righty, guys. Hey, like I said, we love you. We absolutely adore you. We are here for you. That's why we've been doing this show for so long. We're not going to stop. So until next time, guys, peace out, Ninja.